Okay, so I thought I'd make a little short teaser video. I went ahead and made the receiver here for a bolt. So there's already a bolt in there and it wedges itself in the back and in all of that. And there's the hole in front of it for the air to escape and the hole behind it for the air to escape. It takes somewhere around 25 psi for it to have enough pressure to really force that bolt forward. It feels like it's strong enough at around 25 psi to set off a 22 round. And some of you are going to probably call this unsafe because there's no actual firing pin. It's a flat surface on a heavy piece of metal that slides forward. I call that very safe. It can't just unwedge itself, fall forward, and set the round off under its own weight. It's not enough pressure. That is very safe. I'd rather have that any day. I remember other people saying, oh, because I just use a flat surface bolt in the back of that, it's, they kept talking bad about it because there's no actual firing pin. I do that to make them safer. It takes more pressure to set the bullet off when you're just using a flat surface. A 22 round is just a crush round. You just crush the edge of it, or you just crush all the way around it all at once. As long as you can crush it, it'll go off. So it doesn't matter if you have an actual small spot point of contact or all the whole, you're contacting the whole back of the bullet. I like this way because it's a lot safer, especially since it's just wedged in there. The bolt is. I decided not to go with any sort of spring to keep it off the back of the bullet. It wedges in there. So I'll show you what I'm talking about. I'll dry fire it. Not really the good thing to do, hitting the back of the barrel with it, but so that's pretty much it. I went ahead and let all the air out. And that feels like this whole thing jerks pretty good when I do that. It feels like it's plenty enough pressure. If not, like I said, that was just 25 psi. I can bring this thing up to over 100 psi. I guarantee I can get enough pressure to set off a bullet out of this. That felt like plenty enough pressure. That hit harder than I have to hit when I slam this to fire it. So, and yeah, it's a good thing I knew to do this, because if there's a bullet in there and this is going forward, there's just going to be air trapped in there, and it's going to be like, it'll go forward so far until it compresses and it can't compress the air any further, and then it'll kind of bounce back. So, and then if I just drilled the hole in the front, it would do that, and then if it got a good enough seal in behind it, then it's just going to compress in this area here, and I could potentially blow a line. So you got to have the hole in the front for the air to escape in front of the bolt, and I measured it out, and this is the hole just behind the bolt. Let's see if we can see the bolt in there. Can we? No, I can. Yeah, you can kind of see shiny metal. Let's have a look at it. Let me show you. Here we go. Okay. Okay, so this is the bolt. It's literally just a very flat surface. And have a guess what that is. What I used to make the bolt. Yep. I sacrificed one of my extensions. I had 3, now I have 2. Oh well. I hardly use my extensions anymore anyways. I only had all 3 of them because it was cheaper to get 3 and hook them together to make a long one than it was to get a long one. Back when I used to have to change spark plugs constantly in one of my old cars. So since then they haven't been used much. But yeah, it's plenty heavy enough. It should be able to, under the air pressure and all that, keep the casing from flying backwards and all that. So yeah, should work fine. So far I don't have to put any sort of rubber behind it, like to make a seal that helps it to push. And I shouldn't have to wrap it in tape or anything like that. It seems to seal itself just fine. That's why I made it like that. Because I was just going to cut it here and then also cut it here and then have a... But it was slightly too small. Let's see. So you see the wiggle room there? Slightly too small. So where it started to get bigger, I cut it above that, and then I just put it in the drill and put it back on the grinder and redneck lathed it down until it sealed decent. Like, it's still a little loose. That gives it a better seal, and then like I said, it drops in there. Let's drop it in. You can see what I mean. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So see, it drops in there and it wedges, so that makes it seals itself, and then the air pressure blows it back out. So that's pretty much it. It's a functioning gun now at this point. It's an air rifle. Whether I use it for pellets or bullets, it's an air rifle. But it is a functioning gun. I mean, as long as it does only take about 25 psi to set it off, theoretically, I might be able to get 2 or 3 rounds through it before I have to recharge the tank. I dropped the bolt. I'll pick it up in a minute. I don't know where it went. Oh well. But theoretically, I might be able to get multiple rounds through it before recharging the tank. Because it doesn't take hardly any pressure to feel like it's enough to set off a bullet. That's mostly because of how it wedges in there, so it really, poof, all at once. Goes flying forward, which is great. I hate that I would dry fired it twice already onto the back of the, because that could mess up the back of the barrel and make it to where it's harder to stick the bullet in. But I don't think I've messed it up yet. I've looked at it and tested another round in there earlier. I'll test another round in a minute. As long as they go in pretty easily, I'm going to end up, if I keep this collar on here, I'm going to end up drilling and putting a pin to where I can extract the rounds easily. Just push the pin forward and it'll bring the part on the inside backwards. Just pop the round out if that becomes a problem. If they just fall out when I tip the barrel back, then that's alright, that's great. Because that's what happens right now with a live round in it, just to see if make sure it fits. And then I just tip the barrel back and it just falls right out. So, yeah, I might make an extractor for it. Because I can't really get my fingers down in there. If it gets wedged in there, it's hard to get out. I don't have a long enough ramrod. But that's pretty much it. Let me know what you think. Like, subscribe, leave a comment.